So basically today if I'm being truly honest, we were gambling once more. We were not following the rules. We were not following the trade until the last trade. I really need to fix this. I did also write down my emotions. I was controlling myself at first, and then eventually we started to spaz out once we saw majority of this move start to get completed around 10 o'clock. That's when the news came out, and the market just instantly started pumping. Multiple trades today. I'm gonna show you guys the account. I was gambling once more. I'm not gonna lie. I really thought I was gonna blow the account today, but we're up on the week 1.6. And I'm not even gonna lie, guys. It was a roller coaster today. We took two L's back to back. We're down basically what we are up for the month. We're down 1,600, and then eventually we brought it back up to just around a negative 800, and then we made that plus the 400. And it was just very bad. I won't lie to you. It was very bad. It was uncontrollable. But yeah, here's the trades for today right here. You can see we lost 800, lost 750, 720 made, 820, and then 475 made. This right here was the same trade. I just partialed out a little bit right there, and then eventually we got stopped. Or I closed the trade actually for this amount, or this one right here. I closed the trade for that amount right there, and then in this one was the partial. If we just let it ride to full, whenever I was not partially, I would have gotten the emotions weren't there. Weren't having anything under control. First trade wasn't following the system, wasn't following the trade or anything like that. Second trade was a gamble. Third trade was also a gamble. The last trade was really just following the system, following the model to the tick. So we got to journal that one. And I hate journaling so many trades in one day. If I simply stuck to one trade a day, followed it, took the last trade, we would have been up around 1,200. The account would have been at 2,400, only 600 to pass. Instead of just going through the drawdown, then eventually trying to make it back up. It's annoying. That's what happened the other day too. Again, 800. If we eliminate that 800, this day would have been basically a 2K day. This, if we eliminated all this right here, that would have been a 1,200 day. That would have been basically passing the account already. So being impulsive, just rushing the process. But 822. I see the other markets moving higher. It triggered a thought to enter since NQ is lagging, but the model isn't being presented, nor does it look high probability. So I was talking about longs in the morning, and then I put just tape read it, and then eventually I really wanted to chase price here to catch a continuation, but we need to stick to the rules and be patient. And eventually we broke loose from the rules and everything like that. So we're gonna go to the NQ trade right here. On NQ, we took multiple trades. Here were the trades here. It looks better on the 15-second. So on NQ, I took buys. No, I took a sell first, and then I took a buy. So here we took a sell off of a 1 minute change in the state of delivery. I'm going to go over that on TradingView. And then I just want to show you the guys' executions first. And then we close the trade right here for a stop, like right around here. And then eventually we bought this trade right around there, and we closed it for a loss like that. And then this one, of course, same. We just closed it for a win. So we sold right here, and then eventually we cut the trade right around here. And then we reversed the position, and then eventually we got stopped out, and then we reversed that position with a sell, and we made back. Basically, we cut this one out. That was basically a flat, it was break even. And then we still had this loss. So I was still, going into today, I was like, damn, I got to make this loss back. So I just reevaluated. One thing that really did help me was the tuning forks, bro. I know this sounds weird. If you watch the vlog, or if you're keeping up with the weekly vlog, I have tuning forks. I was just ringing them, resetting, coming back to the market stronger, and just thinking to myself, follow the rules, be patient, stick to the model, and everything will play out, and that's basically what happened here. So we took a trade here at 4. Let's mark it out. So here was the trade we entered here. Stop loss was above the 1 minute high for the third candle of this fair value gap. So at times, at that time, I did think I was gonna get stopped out, but at that point, it was what it was at this point for me, honestly, because the account was gonna get blown. We were down 800. We were risking around 1,500 again, and I entered off of this sell set imbalance and the inversion for value gap, forming. So I thought the momentum was going to continue here after this small retracement. I entered, and then you can see the market pushed up higher, and We almost got stopped out. And then eventually went back, hit our break-even point, which was this low right. No, it was this low right here after we took a partial. That's when I went break-even, and the market would have not hit me break-even. And my final objective was this low right here, was this low right there, and it would have been stalling, edged it, and then eventually hit it. So the trade idea would have hit, and that would have been like close to, I won't even lie to you, if I was right into full take profit, that would have been close to around like a 3K day here. But again, probably more, I won't lie. But it is what it is. Again, I'm not really trying to think about that. This down here would have been like an 8K if we wrote it down there, but it never went down there, which it kind of was my final objective over here. Since this is all unfilled, but I thought about it, I was like, probably next week, we're gonna have a bullish weekly candle, probably come back, revisit that area, and then eventually push up higher, and form low week throughout Monday through Wednesday. But yeah, that was pretty much the entry here on this trade. We had standard deviations, and you can see here market reached it and it started chopping around. I thought the trade wasn't gonna go anywhere until 12 o'clock. And even then, after 12 o'clock, the market really didn't move much. It came back up, and then eventually went back down lower. I was using SMT as a confluence, and I did lock my my account after that trade. But again, the account balance is up. We just need another 1,500, and we pass it. So maybe next week I'm just gonna be on my hands, and today's really, it was my worst day this week. I won't even lie. Friday was probably by far one of my worst days this week. I really need to review and evaluate what I'm doing wrong and learn from my mistakes, and review all this week. I need to review this week. I need to back test, and I need to do my weekly review and analyze the mistakes I made, write it down on a piece of paper, go into the next week, live trading, not make those mistakes again. I don't care what I need to do. I need to put it on my wall right in front of me, or put it on my monitor when I'm trading. I need to do something, bro, because I need to follow my rules. I need to stick to my system. I need to stop taking these low quality setups, because they're costing us, like the 840, the 750, and the 855. Those are costing us from passing the account. This was a good trade. This was a good trade. This one right here, these two right here, these two trades, the ES trade and the YM trade. Yesterday, the YM trade was a great trade. The ES trade today was a good trade. Those were following our system. Those were following the setups. The other trades weren't following our system or setup. Those are just gambles. Those are just me being emotional, impatient, rushing, not being level-headed or rational. I don't know what. I think I might just ring my tuning forks before I start the day or something, bro. Because, I lose myself, bro. And then eventually I reset. And I come back and I make it back. But it should never be to the point where I go on that drawdown in the first place. I should just win. I should just make it and follow my rules and follow my system to avoid the losses. That's the reason why I created the system in the first place. It makes no sense. But yeah, let's go over this analysis real quick, and that's in the end of the recap. I'm going to try to make this quick. I'm going to go over the recap. NQ was a lot, weaker whenever we did retrace up into this. That, where ES made this right here, the trade we entered, NQ was already moving lower. We should have just entered off of NQ, but it would have paid dividends. I swear, it would have paid way more dividends as opposed to ES. NQ would have actually it would have came close to reaching that low. We would have probably gotten close, edged. But daily time frame, we're retracing into a daily sell side imbalance and an inversion fair value gap. We have sell side liquidity, and we also have that bearish order block on NQ. And then on the 4-hour time frame, we have a 4-hour sweep. Then the market started to push up, had a break in market structure, and we were retracing into this 4-hour sell side imbalance also. On the 1-hour time frame, 1-hour buy side imbalance at 9 o'clock, retraced up into it, break a market structure, swept the low, pushed up higher. I was bullish at first, and whenever we were opening for the market at 9:30, I did want to see higher prices, especially off the 1-minute bullish breaker here. We had a 1-minute bullish breaker and an inversion for value up, and I did plan on entering it, but once I told myself I'm not going to enter before news, and then eventually you can see the market came back down, retraced, and eventually it pushed up higher for the news event. And then after that, I was not trading this. Again, this is kind of where I was writing down that I was getting FOMO. I was not sticking to my rules, sticking to my strategy. We're just breaking the highs, continuing higher, not really having any clean areas to enter. And then eventually I started to realize the market is gonna have to form some form of retracement, and that's where I was looking for shorts around here, and I was getting stopped out. But for the first trade, again, I had that 1-minute change in state of delivery, which was this one right here, and this is where we entered, and then we got stopped out. So yeah, this is the first trade right here. This was the bias. We had a 1-minute change in the state of delivery. We also had a 3-minute inversion fair value up there form, and that kind of was another confluence here for me to take the short. And you can see here, it just never got respected, and the market was chopping around. It was stalling, and it was just nasty price action, bro. I should have been avoiding this. And understanding, like first we either got to create SMT or we got to sweep. That's one thing I realized today with ES and NQ. ES was what breaking those highs. NQ was not breaking those highs. And once we started to see that displacement from this fair value gap, that's kind of where I knew the trade was going to start forming something. So again, using the correlation of assets, NQ, once the inversion formed, it started to retrace. And again, here I was bearish even when we were breaking the highs. I knew, like, okay, we got to sweep these relative equal highs, continue up higher. Once we make this inverse, I entered the trade, and that's kind of what happened here. I did think I was going to get stopped out. I did think about it, but then eventually NQ was respecting and pushing lower. I thought ES was going to have to catch up, and then YM was also stalling around here. So I knew either YM is going to push up super much, like super high, and ES is eventually going to push up higher too and catch up while the YM stalls. And then eventually NQ is going to catch up, or NQ is going to drop, and ES is going to just follow while YM just chops around. And that's kind of what happened here. YM was just chopping around. ES followed NQ, and eventually NQ was the one that dropped the most heavy here. So the best trade idea would have been on NQ, the shorts. Having that short bias still, but just waiting for the right timing is very important here. 30-minute time frame. This is another confluence. We had a 30-minute CRT form. Right here, we were sweeping the highs, sweeping the high, closing back above. This is where we started to enter, especially for ES. We entered right here at that third candle confirmation. Once we formed that high, SMT at the highs, right there, as you can see. This high right here, lower high. This one was a higher high sweep. We entered, and eventually the market moved lower, and it continued to the downside, and that was basically really it. We were inside of those higher time from bearish PDRAs. We have a 4-hour fair value up right here, and the market is. Again, it's going to run right through that shit once we do retrace. And, since we made this inverse, we're probably going to retrace and then eventually push up higher. We're extremely bullish right now. There's no point of trying to catch the top. And that's kind of what I need to tell myself. Stop trying to catch the top. Just wait for the retracement. The retracement here would have been a way better trade, especially looking for longs after we did drop, seeing some form of inversion, sweeping the internal, and then eventually looking for the market to push up higher. So, yeah, that is basically really it. Basically the trade recap. Following the rules, following the system, about a journal review. Probably going to make a video this weekend about my playbook, my journaling, and all that, and giving you guys a good deep dive. If not, maybe a backtesting video or stream. So that is basically really it. We're up on the account. We still need to put in more work. We need to review. Everything, again, is really more psychological. If we follow the system, follow the trades, we're probably going to be passing these accounts, getting funded, scaling really, really quickly. But we just need to be consistent. We need to be disciplined and sticking to our strategies, sticking to our rules, and working on the psychological aspect. That's really it. So that's basically really it. Peace.